Good evening, everybody. I'm Bonnie Hunter. Welcome to Quilt-Cam. It's been a while, a couple of weeks since we've been able to do an evening Quilt-Cam session, and I'm really happy that you're here tonight. I am working on many things all at once. I am doing some taping of some video workshops with Quiltmaker Magazine in August. And these are all workshops based on my Addicted to Scraps column blocks and things that you can do with them, and easy hints and tips for construction and all that kind of stuff, which means I have to have blocks partially assembled so that we can show the process online rather than saying, here's my fabric, I'm going to cut everything out. I won't make you watch me cut everything and sew absolutely everything. So things have to be partially assembled, which means I've got things like, okay, so this is some fun stuff here. This is the sheet that you can print out from Quiltmaker's website for the Wild and Goosey paper pieced blocks. I'm going to show my Wild and Goosey completed quilt on this video, and I hope that you like it. But in the meantime, I have to do partial little blocks. So you can tell this is how we get started. This is piece 1 and 2, piece 1, 2, and 3, piece 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I've got a couple more to do. We have to show each step and how they're added, and I will do some actual sewing at the machine, showing how I paper piece, and I do mine probably the lazy girl way. It's very simple. As long as your pieces are bigger than where they need to go, you're good to go. So hopefully if you've been afraid of paper piecing after my online workshop, you won't be. I also am going to do Idaho square dance, and we've been working on those as leaders and enders. And I need to have a couple of them just in progression. So I need the center square and the side units and the corner 4 patches, but not sewn to each other, so that we can lay them out and show people how those go together. So we're going to be working on a couple of those tonight. And then over here, what have we got in this lovely little pile? My Ties in Paradise. You remember that one? It was from my column a couple of years ago, and it's a really fun block because it has partial seams going around the center square, and it's a really neat way to construct a block. So I think this will be a very fun one to do as a little online tutorial. So I've got my pieces cut out, but I have to assemble some units. And that's what I'm working on here tonight. What are you working on? Of course, we've got this going on over here. Have you joined in on our Tumblr's 2015 Leader and Ender Challenge? Information on the blog. If you want to know information, you can go to the blog at quiltville.blogspot.com. In the right-hand sidebar, partway down, you'll see the Tumbler quilt icon, and it says, are you ready to tumble? That information is available on the website. You can also check under the free patterns tab at the top of the blog, and it'll explain the whole process. This Tumbler's quilt is simple. Mine are coming out of 2.5-inch squares. I went to town the other day. I was just kind of stressed out, and when I'm stressed out, I cut fabric. So I've cut from a bunch of neutral scraps in 2.5-inch squares. These are my my light colored or neutral little tumbler shapes. They're very easy to cut from squares. The information on the template I'm using is also on the website. What I like, I'm using a Dresden fan wedge template because we can cut many sizes of tumblers with just that one tool. I am not a big fan of tools that only have one purpose, but if I can get multiple sizes out of something, I feel like I'm getting my money's worth. These are my darks, or my colors, and boy, is there some oldie moldy, really funny old stuff in here, but it's going to be a ton of fun. And I am just separating mine light, dark, light, dark, light, dark, light, dark. And then they will be set together checkerboard fashion. And I like the way that that will make the pattern go in and out and in and out. Who knows? These go so fast that I may get 2 tumbler quilts done this year, which would be fine with me. One for each boy would be great. I've got 2 sons. So if this is your first time joining in on Quilt-Cam, I want to welcome you. We do this from time to time from my basement studio when I am home to do it. Usually that means it's an evening, and it's late where I am. It's 9 p.m. here now, and it's on an evening when I don't have family home. So maybe the hubby's off playing tennis, or Jeff's at work, or or whatever it is, because family time is important to me since I'm very much on the road all the time. But when I'm home, if I have an evening free, we turn the camera on and then we sew together, and it's a lot of fun. You can find the archives under the archives tab at the top of the blog. Also, just come to the blog at quiltville.blogspot.com and click on the Quilt-Cam tab, and that has all of the past archives of every Quilt-Cam that we have done that has been through Google Plus archived there. The reason it's best to watch those on the blog instead of going through YouTube is that you'll miss the background information that I have written in that blog page where this feed is embedded, and you'll be kind of running blind. I also like to share other people's projects and what's going on with them in the post. So if you're watching over on YouTube, kick yourself over to the blog and catch what you've missed. You can always email me. Email goes directly to my phone, and I can answer your emails tonight while we sew. If you're on YouTube, you can leave a comment right there, and it will also go to my email. If you leave a comment in the guest book, it sends me an email to go to the guest book to find your comment, so it's a little bit of a delayed process. What I can't do is answer your comments in Facebook or Instagram or things like that because I'm not there. You can also leave a comment on this blog post, and that shows up in my email as well. So if you're going to reach me, it's got to be able to reach my email, and you can always email me directly at quiltville@gmail.com. So let's do some sewing here. I'd like to know what you're working on, what your big summer plans are. Are you excited about the Tumbler Challenge? And guess what just got designed, finished up being designed last night? Our winter mystery. I've got the plan. I've got the colors. I've got everything ready. So there'll be more information on that come October. But for right now, we're working hard and heavy behind the scenes. So we're going to do this thing here. And I've got some pieces and parts in here, so maybe I have most of this together. I really only need, I'm just making partial blocks and then putting them together like a little kit so that we can put them up on the flannel board or whatever they have me do. And I need some randomish colors here. Okay. And maybe I can hear my phone buzzing. That's too dark. Isn't it true you have a bin of fabric and no matter which one you pull out, it's not the right one? So this is my little bin of 1.5" squares. It's quite full, and I love this bin, and I'm adding to it all the time, and I'm taking from it and sewing with it all the time. 1.5" squares are just the cutest thing ever. So I'm going to put these right sides together and sew. And I think on this one, I'm going to go ahead and start adding the little rectangle to it. If you want to know where to find this pattern, it's in a previous issue of Quiltmaker Magazine in my Addicted to Scraps column. And I should have left a completed block up here to show you, but they're not with me. They're on the design wall across the room, and I won't go pick them up. So I'm going to do this here. I've got almost enough of these done to do a table runner, and I'd like to get the table runner put together and quilted and bound and take that to Colorado with me too, to show another thing that you can do with these Addicted to Scraps blocks. It doesn't have to be an entire huge quilt, although I am known for my entire huge quilts. Okay. So I have saved all of this kitting up and stepping out stuff for my evening pleasure, because it's really not work if you're sewing, right? So here's a short length of tumblers, and what I'm doing is just sewing pairs together. When you sew the tumblers, let's see if I can grab a couple here. So they go together juxtapositioned like this. But when you lay them to the right sides together to sew them, you have to offset them just a hair. So if I put these together, the way I'm going to sew them, and it's you can see just a tiny bit of pink at the top, and there's a little bit of that neutral hanging down off the bottom. That way, the seam allowance will keep things nice and even when you open this up. So just experiment with it. After you've done a few and opened them up and see where you are, you'll know exactly where you need to be with these. So I sew them into pairs first, just like that, and then I add the pair onto the strip I'm working with. So my strips grow as I'm going. I don't want to just have a bunch of pairs to assemble together later. I'm the kind of girl that likes to see progress go. And I'm doing about 53 across because I want this to fit a queen size bed when I'm done. Believe me, I've got fabric enough to do it. Okay. So you can see, I wanted to sew that so that you can see where the seam is. Can you see that on there? There's just a tiny bit of pink hanging up at the top, little bit of white hanging down at the bottom. When I press this over and I'm finger pressing to the dark, it's pretty much straight across when I open these up, and that's what you want. And your seam allowance is important, so watch that seam allowance. Somebody had asked how many tumblers it takes to reach a certain amount. Well, these are offset from each other. So the widest part and the height of the tumbler will finish at 2 inches. But while this may be 2 inches up here, this is 1 and something down here. So it's not like you can just multiply by 2 and get the number that you need. So my suggestion is, if you have a size that you want, just piece a row that long and count your tumblers, and then you know exactly what you need to do. Our directions include different sizes of tumblers from the Dresden plate template. So we're either working from 2-inch squares, 2.5-inch squares, or 3.5-inch squares. If you have the AccuQuilt Go or Go Baby or Studio and you wanted to use a larger tumbler die, you're welcome to do that too if you have another tumbler die from some other manufacturer. Shape doesn't matter. Size doesn't matter. We're just working on tumblers, whatever size that it is. Let's use these as our leaders and enders this year to keep your piecing continuous. So let's check into the mail today and see who's joining in. I heard the phone go buzz buzz. Cousin Jill. Hi, Jill. She says, working on hexies in rainy Erie. So it's raining up in Erie, Pennsylvania tonight. Love the Tumbler Leader Ender Challenge. Need to get mine started, but I will get it started. So she's ready. These rows grow so fast. It's going to be a really fun one to do. Usually we've done block things. We've done 4 patches, or we've done bow ties, and we've done spools, and we've done lozenges, and we've done all kinds of split 9 patch, which had several units in it. This is just a 1-patch quilt. It's going to be very, very easy. Michelle says, Quilt-Cam, and she's got a picture of her tumbler. So let's open this up and see. She says, I'm working on tumblers tonight. Already had a bunch cut and sewn in pairs. Now I have the motivation to pull them back out and do something with them. And she's setting them just how I am. Light, dark, light, dark, light, dark, and letting the fabrics play. She's got her kitty there too. That's so cute. So here's the picture from Michelle showing her tumblers there. How big are you going to go? I want to keep using the fabric. I want the fabric to go. Go, go, go. And it's just so cute. You know, I think it would make a great baby quilt. It would make a fun, even just table runner would be great. So let's do this. That's really cute, Michelle. I'm saving your picture. Denise says, Quilt-Cam, tonight I'm tuning into Quilt-Cam and I'm working on your scrappy Irish chain. I'm halfway done with the scrappy blocks and I've sewn 14 connector blocks. I'm going to join in on the 2015 Leader Ender Challenge too, but will be a bit later when I start that. There's no race. There's no size limitation. There's no number that you have to do, whatever, at your own pace. So what you might start doing if you're thinking of joining in later, as you have scraps that come up to your cutting table that may look like they could be processed down into tumblers, that's what I've been doing. Several of these in here. So I just pieced a backing out of pink fabrics for a quilt I just finished quilting. These pink tumblers came from the leftover fabrics from that backing. So as I'm quilting, trimming the margin off, and have leftover pieces or whatever, that's going directly into little tumblers. So easy, use it up. Your pile will grow, and you don't have to cut out the whole quilt before you start. If you just have enough variety to get started, you continue to add variety as you go. So just start, don't wait. All righty, let's close down on me. Kim Andrews says, Hungry Caterpillar quilt. I'm hoping to finish this top tonight for my dear granddaughter, science teacher, that had a baby girl in May. Oh, that's awesome. Oh, for her granddaughter's science teacher. The granddaughter didn't have a baby. Okay. But it's Hungry Caterpillar. How cute is that? So here's Kim, and that's where she is tonight in lovely Minnesota. So glad you could join us, friend. Cute Hungry Caterpillar. Love it. I love stuff based on children's books. So Terry says she's excited for the mystery quilt. This is Terry from Texas, but only for one more day. My husband and I have sold our home and are moving to Colorado to be near daughter and her family. I can hardly wait for October and the release of colors for our next quilt. This will be my third quilt, and it really makes my holiday fun. You said it was going to be a bang up. Is that a hint? just be ready. It won't be hard. It won't be hard, but it may be intricate. That's all I'm going to say. Wonderful. Happy move, Terry. Good luck moving the stash. Pack your sewing machine in the car with you. Don't let the movers take it. You take the machine. All right. Mary Willis, how are you in Boston? She says, here's my finished Tumalo Trail from the workshop with the Nimble Thimble Quilt Guild in Maine last March. I love it. You might remember the gals from Boston, Jeanette, Charlotte, and myself. Of course I do. I'm working on a quilt for my nephew Shay, something a little modern, only blue and white, with rows of 2 color blocks. Then I hope to try the tumblers. Hope you have a great summer. And that's Mary in Boston, where she's living life in living color. Just look at that. It's beautiful. That's Tumalo Trail from Scraps and Shirt Tails too. And I like how she's added the darker sashing in there. My sashing was light. This looks really nice with the dark. You can completely change a quilt by what you add for sashings, borders, cornerstones. I love it, Mary. Thank you for sharing. Donna Barnes says, hi, Bonnie. Glad to catch you live from California. I trimmed up a graduation quilt for my niece today, auditioning binding fabrics with the help of Oboe. So Oboe, let's see if Oboe's in this one. Oh, that's really cute. Super cute. Can I get this to turn and not, it still looks like it's upside down. And if I turn it this way, yep, it's still going to be upside down. So no matter what I do with the camera, it still flips. Whoop, now it's upside down. Those are cute, cute, cute. And I love anything with a chain that chains between the blocks. And of course, purple. We love that. So let's see. The next picture has Oboe. Oh, there's Oboe. Yeah, that's going to be kind of hard to get that border on and get that binding on and get it finished. Wonderful. Awesome. Thank you for sharing. I'm so glad you're here tonight. In fact, the hubby asked me, okay, there's 3 of these. Why is there 3 of these? Okay, because the other one still needs a 3rd square. The hubbies came home last night and said, you want to go to the cabin tomorrow? And I said, no, I can't. There's Quilt-Cam. He says, well, I'm going to be halfway there when I finish tennis. And he wants to go there tonight. So I said, go. I'm going to do Quilt-Cam. I'm going to sew. If I go to the cabin, I have to cook for you. I'm not going to do that. No. So I'll go to the cabin tomorrow night. But I've got so much work here, most of it computer related. All right. So as I remove these as my leaders and enders, I just finger press to the dark, and that's sufficient. Okay, and I've got these guys. So we can press these now. Pardon my back, but the iron's over here. Okay. So these little units, if you're working on this quilt, and we'll discuss this on that videotaping too, you've got your 3-pieced squares with the solid bar on it. So you can see on the back that I have pressed toward that solid bar, because if I go this way, it just makes a lot of bulk where these seams are. You're doubling up on seam allowance there. So this is the way that it wants to press. Because it wants to press this way, I have to construct the 4-patch corners a little bit differently. I'll be pressing toward the light, which seems completely wrong, but for this block, that's what has to happen. So these will go here. And let's start sewing those 4 patches. And I'm just looking for variety here. It's almost harder for me to construct a block as just a block than it is to just let it evolve as leaders and enders and parts and have variety. I'm having to pick and choose what goes with one block. I don't often sew that way. So we're just pulling some variety stuff here. I need 4 corner 4 patches. So if you were to watch these episodes, and maybe they'll let me do a giveaway of a gift certificate or something for somebody to watch these episodes that I'm taping. I'm not sure how that's going to work yet. Is there any particular hint or help you would like to see explained up close and on film while I have a camera on my hands actually able to show how things are done? Because I mean, let's face it, this is really novice here what we do with this Quilt-Cam. It's just an old laptop camera, so it's hard to get close enough. I can't really show detail stuff. But if you could see anything, what would it be? I'm planning on showing easy angle ruler stuff and companion angle ruler stuff, 3-part triangles, how to debone a shirt, and talk about working with recycled fabrics. That goes with the moth in the window one. I'll be showing paper piecing for the wild and goosey blocks, and then other easy angle ruler work with 3-part triangles, 3 triangles, and a half square triangle, which is another unit. And we'll be working with bonus triangles, so I'll show how bonus triangles happen and how to make them work for you when we do the twirl around quilt. And then of course we're doing leaders and enders with the Idaho square dance block. I'll be traveling with my box of squares and showing how that works. But if there was something that you really wanted me to focus on for you, something that would help you, what would that be? Now, the fun part for me has been going through the fabrics that I want to take with me, and then I think to myself as I'm cutting blocks from this piece of fabric, this one's this old, and this is a petite, and this is a 1930s, and this is a whatever. What are people going to think when they see all this old stuff go together? I'm just going to sew the way I sew. And it all works. So you won't find me matchy-matchy with the jelly roll. Oh, this is bonus. Here's one already sewn. Okay, so we have, this is this other guy. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I need 8, so this is 7. I need 1 more. I'm having to dig for neutrals, and I don't think there's enough in here. Okay, so the one thing I really want to do is keep it real. I want to talk about this pursuit of perfection thing. Give it your best shot. Fix it if it really bothers you, but learn to let some things go. Okay, let me press these, and then we'll take another email break. So this is my chain of 7, because I've got 8 down here already. These are being pressed to the light. They need to go to the light, to the light, to the light. So that's what I'm doing. And I like to chain press. Chain pressing allows me to quickly move from one unit to the next unit, and then I come across and snip them apart. Okay, those now, this one missed to the light. One thing when working with pre-cut fabrics is that oftentimes the edges get a little bit whiskery, so I just snip those off. I try not to pull them off because then they just keep coming and you end up with really raggedy ends. But if they've got whisker threads, I'll just give them a haircut. Okay. Back to the email inbox. Photo Kevin. Hi, Kev. He says, thanks for saving my sanity this evening. Just got home from flying all over the USA. I'm working on the borders for Talkin' Turkey, and I have vowed to have it completed by the time I get to see you in your class and lecture in St. Louis in September. That is going to be so fun because, Kevin, that's only 2 months away. That is going to fly. That is just, time's just going to fly. He says, my dream come true, mine too. Thanks for all you do for us quilt villains. And he's showing here, oh, this is so gorgeous, Kevin. I absolutely love the red and green together. So we've got a very talking Christmas turkey here with the green and the red. That's beautiful. I can't wait to see it in person. And you're just almost up to the border, so that's great. Where have you been flying all over the U.S. for? He's a, you don't mind me telling everybody, he's a flight attendant for Southwest Airlines. I had to think for just a minute because Southwest doesn't fly out of Greensboro, so I'm not able to fly Southwest. But busy, busy, busy. Flies with a sewing machine on occasion. Sews in his time off in a hotel room somewhere. That's a great way to make some good progress and meet interesting people along the way. Thank you, Kevin. Denise says, I'd like to see. So would I. These eyes sometimes make it hard. I don't know if I go this way. Okay. She says, oh, good. You took it out of my head. I was just in the process of telling you I'd like bonus triangles explained. I know you have it in tips and techniques, and I've studied it over and over. I made one, and then the rest were disastrous. So help. Okay, we will help. We will go through that whole process of bonus triangles. And with a couple of hints and helps on how to make sure they come out the right size. It's all about where you sew. So we will take care of that for you. Katie Gardner says, Quilt-Cam, working getting a big Jacob's ladder I spy laid out, 18-inch blocks, and I've gotten my tumblers on hand for when I start webbing. Oh, you will, I used the tumblers when I was webbing my last twirl around quilt that I can't show everybody yet, but putting the blocks together last weekend, and I got four rows of this done. So I was like, that's like almost 200 tumblers sewn together, because you go down the row and sew a pair, down the next row, sew a pair, down the next row, sew a pair, down the next row, sew a pair. And it was just, it's just such a no-brainer. I'm thrilled with this. I'm thinking maybe next year we need to do another one-patch shape and really knock some of these quilts out from these scraps. Let me show you her Jacob's ladder here, because it's very fun. So each block is 2 fabrics, and each dark fabric is a novelty, so it's kind of like an I Spy. And I love her layout. It looks like she's doing kind of a barn raising zigzag kind of a fun thing there. So that's a lot of fun. I love that. I see sunflowers, pumpkins, airplanes. Wonderful. Okay. My phone. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Donna Barnes, Scrappy Irish Chain. So she's got 72 10-inch blocks, and this is for the bed, and the back will be scrappy. So she wants to show how her Scrappy Irish Chain is coming along. You know, anything looks good when you cut it at 2 inches and it finishes at 1.5 inches. And if it's still ugly, cut it smaller. Go 1.5 inches and it'll finish at 1. And by then it's only a color and you can't hardly tell what's on it. That is gorgeous, Donna. It's going to be lovely. And the phone is just going crazy here. Lavneck says videos. Can you tell me the videos will be available? I missed it. You know, I don't actually know. I only know when I am filming them, which is August, and I have a feeling it probably takes a few months to do all of the editing and get them the way they want to be. When I did my episode with Alex Anderson and Ricky Timms for the Quilt Show, I did that in February, and my episode didn't come out until like May or June. So you've got to give it at least a few months. So if we started in August, I'm thinking late fall, it should be available. But if you just follow along with me, I'll let you know. And I may find out while I'm there when they plan to open this for the public. It's going to be fun. I hope we do it again. I hope this becomes something that we do on a regular basis. So this is somebody from area code 208. 208 is Idaho. On pins and needles, my long arm quilting machine is being delivered in the morning, and I'm not able to sew because I'm not sure which wall it will go on. The tails are 10 foot 6 inches. Big one. Thank you for Quilt-Cam because I'm going batty waiting. Oh, and this is Lori from Twin Falls. So I guessed on that Idaho area code. I have family in Idaho, so I can still do that. Good luck on the long arm delivery. It took me a while when we moved here 7.5 years ago almost to figure out which way I wanted to put the long arm in this room. And I have the front of the machine towards the center of the room. And then the back, I don't work from the back very much. So I've got that the other way. And it is completely pushed to the wall on one side because I didn't have a long enough wall to leave walk around space all the way around. So I kind of do this U thing, you know, walk this way, but nothing goes all the way around. I'm getting my steps in. In fact, we can check. What did we do today? 10,464. It works. It works. Good luck on that long arm. I'm excited for you. I know you're excited too. So we have Lily Kangas says, love Quilt-Cam tonight. It's Lily from Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, and I'm thrilled to be home and joining you for Quilt-Cam tonight. So hello to Ontario, Canada. I'm finishing up with hand sewing a sleeve and label on the landscape quilt for a retiring colleague. Hand sewing takes me a while. I really enjoy machine quilting much better. A shout out to our friend Beth in Phoenix tonight. She helps to keep me motivated. Thanks, Bonnie, for all that you do. I believe I will join you on the Tumblr Leaders and Enders this time. They look really fun. They're simple, super, super simple. And there's so many different ways you can set them and so many different sizes you can do. And she's got this beautiful landscape that looks like sand and water and sky. Beautiful, and it doesn't look that big, so it shouldn't take you that long to get that hanging sleeve on there. That's beautiful. Thank you. One more, and then I'm going to sew some. This is Denise Hunley who says, let me try this again. Writing from Boston, so she must not be too far from Mary. Wondering if the random Ohio Star quilt would be a good starting point to learn quarter square, half square triangles in quilting. I'm still very new to quilting and haven't done any triangles in quilting before. Catching up on some knitting projects while I watch Quilt-Cam tonight. Sorry about duplicate emails. And she's working on, oh, see, and that's some gorgeous knitting with some variegated yarn going on there. So she's being productive. Yes, Ohio Stars would be a very good way. Another good one to do for half square triangles is if you did the Florabunda quilt that's on the under the free patterns tab. It's got 4 patches. It shows you how to spin the seams on those. It's very instructive on getting those 4 patches the right size so that they will fit your half square triangles. And the half square triangles are made with the easy angle ruler, which is very easy to use. You can start there, but I would start with half square triangles before I move on to quarter square triangles. Quarter square triangles can have more seams that can shrink your unit even more. And they can there's more seams, so it can be even a little bit wonkier if you're not real accurate with what you're doing, and you may find yourself frustrated. So I would go with the half square triangles first, feel successful at that, and then move on to quarter square triangles down the road. These are all units we can't get away from. We love them. We use them all the time in our traditional quilt making and modern quilt making too. So do it one at a time. I think we're going to do this. So I've pressed these all towards the light. And that means it feels really weird when it goes through the machine. Usually I send the dark square first, but I'm sending the light square first so that it will help these seams nest tighter together. I want the seam allowance pointing up toward the needle. And I am giving all of this to you as kind of a rehearsal for what I have to do for this taping. So here's one pair. And we're just trying to be randomy here. Looks like I've got two greens, so we'll put this green here. And that just feels so weird pressed to the light. It just feels weird. But it's what needs to happen. I have to stop and think. Okay. I nest those seams first, get them really butted up to each other, and then align my upper edge. I was even going to switch out machines today. This is so bizarre. Oh, but I ran out of time. I've been thinking of my great-grandma, and I've got her Singer 15, and I'd like to get that out. Okay, so we've gone as far as we can on that. This is this last one of this. Press it to the light. So this block here is just going to be block parts. We're not sewing them together. This way we can put it up on the board and say this, 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 and talk about the seams and how they need to go. So that means we get to sew another tumbler on. Not there because it's too many pinks in a row. So we're going to do something else. When all else fails, throw in a cheddar and maybe a black and white. So I got some email questions today that I wanted to talk about. And there's an awful lot of people out there worried about what is the proper shade of cheddar. What is the fabric line number for the proper shade of cheddar, or the proper shade of poison green, or the proper shade of whatever color it is? There is no one shade. Just like there is no one shade of blue, there are many different shades of cheddar, and they're all acceptable. They're all right. I use whichever one gives me the look that I want. I've got some that are murkier looking. They look a little bit more older fashioned. They're not as bright. They're a little bit more grayed down or dumbed down. And then I've got some that are bright in your face tangerine orange, and they're all right. They're all correct. And the same with the greens. I just look for anything that has kind of an avocado yellow green cast to it. And some may have more blue in them. Some may have more brown in them. And they're all different shades, but they work. So don't be so caught up on what is the one proper cheddar that you need for any project. I just buy what I like. Okay, now these guys, I'm just going to press open one direction. I am not going to spin these, because if I spin them, they won't nest. Like two of them will, the other two won't when it goes into the block. So we're just going to leave these one way. And then on one of the corners, when I put this block together, I may need to flip one of the seams the other way. If I just press them one direction, I can do that. If I've spun them, I'm kind of sunk. Okay, so we've got 4 corner 4 patches, 4 little rail units with 3 squares, and a center square. And I'm going to just leave this one as a kit on how to put it together, but then I need to make another one that is completely together. So here's a start. 2 are already sewn. We'll sew a 3rd one on. Just trying to stir these up and get something different. I had a friend give me a whole baggie of 1.5-inch squares, and it was so great because my variety was getting down there in the no man's land. I've done a lot with 1.5" squares over the past year or so. Absolutely love, love, love these little pieces. It's fun when you can recognize them for how long you've had them, what they were from. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3. So this is fun. Cheddar tumbler. Nice and straight across the top. If I have a little bit of variation, that's okay. It'll all come out in the wash. But that one was just the seam allowance was a little bit up. Okay. Now we'll add that one here. Nope. We'll go there. So you can decide on which side of your braid you really want to add that piece that you've just sewn. Your braid, your chain. Tumblers on parade. Okay, so these ones, the sidebars, you can press those squares to the dark. They don't mess with anything. Okay, so we've got that one. Do 3 more. There's just so much fun, different stuff in here. And none of it's mine. We've got a dark blue. What do we have? Okay. Now maybe a yellow. I try not to do too many repeats of the same color within any one block. Okay. See how quickly this grows? It doesn't take long at all. Not at all. Okay. Checking in here. Top of the inbox. Elaine says, Quilt-Cam. I have to laugh about the U shape around the long arm. I have had to do the same thing. Just watching tonight since my project is on the long arm downstairs and the computer is upstairs. And this is from Elaine Krause in Madison Heights, Michigan. So she understands. You get more steps going like this around the long arm. Okay. Back to the inbox. Jody says, my first Irish chain. Boy, there's a whole lot of Irish chaining going on tonight. It's classic. It's wonderful. And it always looks good. Anything that chains through the quilt just draws your eye. She says, hello from Indianapolis. I've completed my first Irish chain quilt this week. I sewed it on my teal colored vintage sewing machine. I'm also cutting scraps for my tumbler, leader, and ender. This is my first Quilt-Cam. Love to see your vintage sewing machines. So the one that I've got here today is my modern. It says modern here on the badge, and it was made in the late 1950s in Japan. And it's what I call an improved class 15 machine or a Japanese import. I never like to call them a clone because that's like saying that it's a direct copy of something else, but it's based on the class 15 machines that Singer made. Fabulous machine. It has buttons to drop the feed dogs, and it's just got a simple number dial to change the stitch length and a reverse button. Simple, simple, simple. I love these straight stitch machines. I'd love to see a picture of yours. So if you're sewing on a teal machine, take a picture and show me. She's also got a picture here of her quilt, and there she is. It's her very, very first one. Round of applause. Yay! That's just awesome. Awesome work. I love that. Anything that chains. And I really like your scrappy 9-patch setting blocks. That really looks awesome. Okay, it's a word often used, maybe overused, but it is what it is. So here we have Lorraine, who says, thank you for keeping my sanity. I don't know. Watching other people go insane keeps your sanity. She says, I went for a routine medical procedure Monday and unfortunately had 5 unsuccessful attempts to put in an IV. Ah, one of those injured the medial nerve in my right wrist. I have my wrist in a brace for at least another week. Thankfully, most of the pain is gone, but still a bit of weakness. No sewing for me, and I'm so bored. You are a bright spot in my day for sure. Can't wait until I can cut out and sew some tumblers. Enjoy your cabin trip. Kevin sends a hug. So this is from Lorraine's son, Kevin. I've met Kevin and Lorraine. I've at least met a couple of times, more than a couple. I've seen Lorraine more than I have Kevin, but they're just dear hearts, and I love hearing from her. I had the last IV I had was when they put the dye in my veins to check my eyes, and the guy did it really botched it. By the time I left there, the whole top of my hand was purple from bleeding where he hit that vein and where stuff leaked out. And then I can never have that dye again because it made me itch and about gave me hives, and they said, well, next time it could be worse. So no weirdo dye for me. I hope that that nerve problem reverses itself and you're back to cutting in no time. Okay, this is really fun. I'm glad we can do this tonight. Here's Marlene Jordan says, finger pressing leaders and enders. Just about a month ago, I found you on YouTube and started on 2-inch square leaders and enders. After a month, while just finger pressing them, my tender little fingers started to buzz. So I think I finally found a use for that thick cardboard spool from the 1200-yard thread I use for piecing. I use it like a little rolling pin to flatten that seam. And she says, sew on, girl. That is awesome. You know what else works really great as a presser? Our little yellow seam allowance measuring ruler thingy. It's just the right angle to run on there. And I've also watched people use the end of their seam ripper to press. You just want a good flat seam. I tend to use my nails, and I just go with my nails to get that flat seam. But one by one, just a finger press is all that will go. And then before I join rows together, I will actually iron press those. I've got here a Facebook message from Betty Ann, and she says, I'm watching you live from Guam. It's 11:30 in the morning, and I'm happy to be sewing with you today. You know, if I had to pick out Guam on a map, I'm not so sure I could even find it. It's South Pacific somewhere, towards out there, isn't it? Somewhere? My goodness, I'm going to have to go look up Guam. We always had this joke when the boys were bad growing up. I said, be careful or I'll send you to Guam. So glad to have you joining us, Betty Ann. And she says she's working on the Mystery Quilt Grand Illusion, and she's joining in on the tumbler leaders and enders. What do you recommend seeing in Bali? Husband and I going there for the last week in July. We were out at Nusa Dua, which is outside of Denpasar, just a little bit. And we did things like, we went to a coffee plantation. It was a wonderful trip out there. You definitely want to go to the monkey forest and stuff like that. See anything wildlife that you can. The beaches are gorgeous. You're gonna love the beaches. The food is to die for. Although I have to laugh because we had, what is it, 17, 18 people that went with me. And by day number 3, now we were there, the whole trip was like 10 days. Okay, day number 3, somebody was going, rice again? Rice again? It's like, yes, you're in Bali. This is Indonesia. They eat rice a lot. When you're in Rome, you do what the Romans do. When you're in Bali, so enjoy it. Have a wonderful time. The flowers, the people. I love just driving around and looking at all of the little shrines. And they have all of their shrines are very, very, very proper. You may have this shrine of a guy with kind of a very weird like dragon face, but he's very proper because he's got his plaid sarong wrapped around the base of his pedestal, and it's a black and white check, which was really fun to see, the black and white check and all of the other fabrics that they have going on there. You'll want to look at some of the gift shops and things like that. If you're looking for cottons, one of the best things to do is to look for the 100% cotton sarongs, and they come in a 2-meter length because you can, wrap those around and tie those on you. And I've got some beautiful ones that I with all my good intents and purposes wanted to sew up into some quilts as a memory thing from my trip to Bali. A lot of these the batiks from the sarongs are more the traditional batiks, not the commercial batiks that we find today, like this one. These ones were more of the traditional done ones, but beautiful colors, blues and browns and greens and all sorts of things. So I found those to be a great deal and not very much money at all. But have a wonderful time, and definitely check if you're anywhere near where there's a tourist information building. They will have pamphlets and things. If you're staying in a hotel, your concierge will know all kinds of things that you might want to do. So I wish you a wonderful trip to Bali. I would love to get back there someday. So we have, oh, this is Lois, and she's just using up small scraps and decided to try lozenges in a mini size. She says more like breath mints because they're really tiny. They finish 1 by 2, but look at her little lozenge mini. Isn't that so cute? So leaders and enders don't have to be a huge bed project. It doesn't have to take you all year. You could just decide, this week I'm making these units and I'm going to make whatever I make out of this. That is so cute, Lois. I love it. Adorable. Adorable. Okay, one more, and then I need to sew. This is Lavana, who says, I am a big Downtown Abbey fan, and I purchased some charm squares back in January. I wanted to work on, boy, I'm dealing with an eye thing, so the words kind of go in and out. It's like reading through a water balloon, kind of like if you were trying to read through a teardrop and the words get a little distorted, and then it'll clear up and it'll be fine. If there's some cysts on the back of my macula, so I'm dealing with that. So So I have decided on 2 different patterns that I could sew by hand. The first is a hexie flower in a pot, and the second is a Dresden plate. Oh, and she's showing us pictures. She says, I've been sewing a lot by hand recently as a form of therapy because I have neurological complications from my genetic heart condition. So being able to sew by hand has been helping her to stop seizures. We can do what we have to do to get the job done, whatever it is. She's got problems with seizures. I've got problems with my eyes. Somebody else has problems with their wrist and the nerves. We've all got something going on, and we use our sewing to help us cope with it. So here's some really cute blocks. She's got some hexie flowers in some little pots there, doing some applique and some handwork. I bet she's in a comfy spot with her feet up. And this one here is our Dresden plates and a strip pieced piano keyboarder. That's going to be awesome. That's wonderful. So the eye thing, I don't know if we talked about this the last time we did Quilt-Cam. And I think this one's big enough. I don't need to do that one. So, but, okay. So we're just going to believe that this has progressed as far as it's going to progress, and it may never progress any further. And it just means that, oh, okay, we'll join these 2. It just means that my reading vision is a bit iffy. So my peripheral vision is good, but when you try to focus on small words, it's like the center of the word is missing. And so my husband says, well, just get a bigger magnifying glass. I says, you don't understand. It's like taking a picture and pixelating it. If you blow it up and blow it up and blow it up, then you really can't tell what it is. So it's just something I'm going to have to deal with. And my plan is, if it gets really bad, I'm just going to make improvisational quilts, and who will care, right? We won't be able to tell how ugly that fabric is, or if she used the right or wrong side of it, because she can't see the print on the fabric. But look, she made wonky things, and it's all good. And maybe, just maybe, they will figure out what to do. Right now, there's no known cause, no known cure. Nothing you can take for it. We just have to watch it and see what happens so that we can judge how it's progressing if not. So best case scenario, it is what it is, and it's not going to get any worse. It's just what it is. Okay, so we've got these 4 things done. Got all my little 3 squares. 4 of those done. I'm going to add these rectangles that I cut ahead for these little pieced bars. I really didn't know how far I would get tonight, so I cut out a couple different sets of stuff. You know that your seam allowance is at the right spot when your pieced unit fits the rectangle that you've cut for it to go with. Whoops. A little shift happening there. One more. And I figure if I get really excited about the tumblers, I can just continue to throw a couple more extra pairs in. Instead of 1 leader ender, throw in 2. No race, but it's going to be a lot of fun. So we've got this going on here. We'll add another one. And where's my other short one here? I felt like I was having too much of the same thing on either side. I was trying to get these 2 pinks farther apart from each other. So that one can go there. Just offset, just a hair, just a little bit offset. Okay, and press these. To the light, to the light. In a perfect world, these units will all be the same size, right? In a perfect world. They look pretty dang good. What I tell my students is, you know, no matter how hard we try to be perfect with our seam allowance all the time, it's never going to be all the time perfect. There's going to be some human variations because we are hand guiding our fabric through. Even if the machine's got a seam guide thing on the machine bed or an edge guide on your foot, whatever it is, we are moving fabric through a machine that is going, needles going up and down, and it's moving, and we're hand feeding this. So if you've ever bought a garment or a handbag or a shawl or whatever that was made from hand dyed fabric or hand woven this or that, and there will be a little tag that says variations in coloring or pattern are normal. This is a hand crafted project. We have to allow our quilts the same thing. There's going to be a little bit of variation. We do the best that we can. If I have a little bit of extra little blue sticking up here, I'll trim it off, because fabric is like pizza dough. It eases and it stretches, and nothing is 100% perfect all the time. Okay, so we've got this, 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 and this. We need some 4 patches. I'll be happy after the end of tonight. I'll be able to at least knock off this one sample from the must need this for a step out kind of a to-do list. Really running low on the neutrals in here. There's a lot of colors, not very many neutrals. May have to break down and actually cut some. So I have Pandora on the Carpenters channel, thanks to Cousin Jill. So far today, it has not played any lullabies. When I first turned this channel on, it was like every other song was, oh, look, already sewn. That's a bonus. Okay. Every song that came on was like a children's lullaby, like songs that you would sing to children, and I would click the thumb down arrow because I'm not listening to this channel to listen to lullabies. Those need to go on the children's channel, not on this. And then pretty soon I clicked the down arrow so many times, Pandora told me, you've exceeded the number of times you can unlike a song. It's like, well, stop playing these songs and I won't unlike them. So I had to change my channel. And I keep going back, hoping that they're not going to play a stupid lullaby. So tonight, before Quilt-Cam started, I was talking to my radio, because I sometimes do that. Do not play a lullaby. Or, you know, I don't want to turn on my Carpenters channel and have some lady singing "The Wheels on the Bus Go Round and Round." 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. One more. 8. Okay. It's growing, it's growing. And I think those pinks are far enough apart from each other now that I can add this one on. Yeah. You know, that 2-inch, the 2.5-inch side of a tumbler is just about the right size for a leader and ender. 5-inch tumblers, those are too big. Oh, I'm supposed to press to the light, aren't I? Yes, yes, yes. Okay. Okay, all righty, so let's check in. We had the quietest 4th of July ever on record, I hear. We went up to the cabin. Our son Jason was able to come Wednesday night and stayed Thursday, but had to leave Friday night because he had to work Saturday. And so that was it. Friends Rick and Mona were up in Ohio for the 4th with their visiting with family, so it was quiet on the mountain. No friends to come over, nobody to play Farkle with, no cookouts with neighbors. Our son was there and gone before it was even the 4th, and it was such a nice, it was a nice quiet 4th, but like the quietest I have ever had in years. Last year we had riotous amounts of family over. Here's another one, looks like from, come on, open up. Oh, awesome. So Betty Ann has Betty Ann from Guam also sent a photo of a quilt, if I can get it to open up. And it looks like it's all striped bars of fabric with black sashing in between. I don't know if these are recycled fabrics or not. I'll double check her post and see what she said, but isn't that wonderful? And it would be so simple to make. So simple. She says, nope, because I just lost her. Where'd she go? There she is. She didn't say. She just sent a picture. That's wonderful. It's beautiful. Okay. Back in the email land here. Phone's been buzzing like crazy. But it doesn't want to turn on. I've got just blank white screen. There it goes. So this one is from Sandra, who says, Quilt-Cam, Sandy here from Roland, North Carolina. I have used your scrap system idea and will make a quilt when I have enough strips. I will use one of your patterns. And she says she loves Quilt-Cam. I'm glad that you do. Please send photos when you finish that quilt. That would be wonderful to see. It's always good to hear from other folks in North Carolina. We've got here, Kathy Rivenbark says, just finished my top this afternoon. Next on to the back end. She's from South Carolina, and she's also finished her Tumalo Trail. Remember, Mary from Boston shared hers in brights and black. And here's one that's with lots of scrappy colors on a more neutral background. Looks just like mine did, hanging over that long arm. Boy, do I recognize that. We love our long arms for hanging things. Did you guys see this quilt over here on the machine? If I move out of the way, can you see it? It's kind of a broken dishes in a 9 patch. Let me pull that up here. Hang on just a second. I absolutely love this quilt. I found it at an antique mall somewhere along the line. But it has these lovely little broken dishes units, and then they're sewn into a 9 patch. And the fabric that they're joined with is really interesting. Like some of these have been pieced. There's hand-pieced seams in them. And the fabric feels very lightweight, like a cotton lawn or a voile. And some of them are a little bit more sturdy, and they're just whatever was pink. She liked pink. And it's just so fun to look at all of the different fabrics. This one I'm thinking was made about 1920, but it's got fabrics in it that are a lot older than that. But let's face it, I'm sewing with fabric that's 30 years old. So why wouldn't she? But each one is they're just so fun to look at, these units. I would love to recreate this one. It would be a very, very simple thing. Easy angle ruler, bonus triangles would work really well for this quilt. But it was all hand pieced, hand quilted, and the hand quilting thread is very, very heavy. It's a really white, coarse, heavy thread. The backing fabric is a pink shirting stripe. Really fun. So I love that. I bring antiques out here to hide the mess under the long arm. So that's my antique of the week to share with you. Let's talk about next Quilt-Cam. When can we do this again? I'm home until the 27th. I fly to, where am I going? Iowa. The 27th. Next week is extremely, extremely busy. So I'm thinking we'll take next week off, but let's plan on doing Quilt-Cam in about 2 weeks. So if I pop up my calendar here, and I'm looking here at July. How about like Wednesday that's August, I want July. Like Wednesday the 22nd, that may work. So we'll take next week off. Wednesday the 22nd should work really well. We'll put that as tentative and be watching the blog, and I'll let you know. Oh, speaking about on the blog, I have something really special planned for tomorrow, so you will want to definitely tune in. I've got some goodies that are just, you're going to want your chance at these. I love finding little things and being able to do little giveaways and things like that. Did I just lose a square? No, do those, do these. Okay. Press to the light, and that just feels so weird. That was pressed to the dark, no wonder. That was that pair that I found in the bin already. You know, it's true. When in doubt, we press to the dark, but these just need to go the other way. My plan tonight is to get this one block completely sewn. Things are growing. Okay, we need another tumbler. Even those old 1990s calicos work great in these. Okay, gonna press these open. Okay, so we have our variety of 4 patches. We've got the 4 bar thingies, and we're going to lay this out like an uneven 9 patch. So with these 4 patches, the lights go into the corners. And you can find all of this information in that wonderful Quiltmaker Magazine episode. And I think it was the May-June issue? I think so. Okay. Okay. So while I've got you here, and other people want to know exactly what this webbing thing is, can you see this block? Maybe if I push you back just a hair. There, now you can see it on the table. So this is how we're going to assemble this with what I call webbing the block, or keeping things continuously chained so that things are in order as they sew. And I've done this before, but if you're still confused and you see me do this, it may help you. I will put entire quilt tops together this way. You want to build your rows across while keeping the rows connected to each other all the way down so nothing gets out of order. And it keeps the piecing continuous, which we like. We don't want to just pull our work right out of the machine and leave thread tails everywhere, unless you are sewing on leaders and enders. But mostly we want to keep things in the order that they need to be sewn. And I think I'm going to move this guy. I want more color there. Nope. Nope, I think it was fine the way it was. Okay. So here is this unit that's pressed up towards the bar. So I need to reverse this seam allowance just on this one so that when I sew this, how am I sewing this? It was this way. Okay, so that this seam goes down, because on this it goes up, and I want those to nest. And on some of those you just have to reverse the seam, but you don't have to unpick anything. And if you twirled it, only half of them would work. Okay, so we're going to place these right sides together and sew. And I've got the first one, that 4 patch on the bottom. That's the first column. The second column goes right sides together against the first. So I'm going to sew these pieces. When I reach the end of this pair, I'm just going to stop. Now I'm going to put the center square over the center piece in the first column. The first column stays right side up. The second column goes right sides together against it. And then I'll pick this one up and I'll sew. Leave both of those pairs in the machine. Now I'm going to take, and they're both, oh, this pressed correctly, awesome. So now I'll take this center bar on the bottom of row 2, right sides together against that corner 4 patch. Nest those seams, and they nest because I pressed them correctly. And now I've gone as far as I can go. So this is where I will, what have I got on here? Okay, we've got a leader ender pair here. Press it to the dark and add it to the mothership here. Scoot my rows over. Okay. Oh. Now I can remove this work, and at this point I'm not going to cut it apart. Leave it chained together. If you're assembling a whole quilt, leave those first two pieces that are chained together all the way down together. Do not cut them apart, because then you have to turn them around and figure out which one goes where. Just leave them chained. I am going to press towards the 4 patches and towards the center square. Okay, so here we are, just like this. At this point, I can lay it back down the way that it goes, make sure that everything's in order the way it's going to go. And at this point, I will take that last upper right-hand 4 patch, right sides to the center section, right sides to the middle, and the bottom 4 patch, right sides here, and chain that all the way down. So I will be chained together in 4 places. There will be chaining threads still on here. So let's do that. I'm going to take this 4 patch, right sides together, and the seam works just perfectly. Nested on there. Okay. I'm going to take the center section and add this to it. Is this making sense now? Hopefully. And then the very last one. Okay, so now the whole block is webbed. Take my tumbler off the top. Let's find another pair of tumblers to go on there. We've got, I don't see any purple. What do we got in here? It's purple. That'll work. It's actually not very purple. It's kind of a brown purple. It'll work. Okay. Okay, so I'm now removing the block. Let's finger press this open. This one goes under, this one goes out. No, wait a minute. This one goes out. Under. Out. Okay. So do you see how we're webbed together? Chaining threads here. Chaining threads down here. And now I can just fold the top row over the center and stitch that seam, nesting the places that need to be nested. You can cut these chaining threads if you want to, but unless I'm pressing something open, I don't bother. I just feel like it adds another measure of security that those seams are not going to come undone if I leave them connected. Then I will simply fold the bottom row over the center and sew that seam as well. So this is what I mean by webbing the block or webbing the entire quilt top. The quilt top can even have cornerstone sashing, sashing block, sashing block, sashing block. You just think of it as units. Leave column 1 right side up, wherever it is. Column 2 goes over 1 all the way down, and you sew all the way down, leaving them in a chain. Then flip those out, and then it's 3 over 2, 3 over 2, 3 over 2, all the way down. It's very easy. It's very fast. Nothing gets out of order. And you don't even need to clip them apart unless things get too unwieldy. If something's really big, I'll cut it apart in sections, and I may leave 2 or 3 rows assembled and work in sections that way. Okay. Sewing this one across. Okay, that's one seam. And the tumbler comes off. I'm glad we're doing shorter things because it lets me show you also how to put these leaders and enders to good use. Okay, now the block comes off. I'm going to open this up here. Well, that seam didn't match that well. We're going to leave it. Okay, so I've got one more row here to fix. I'm going to add this one on. Son Jeff is home from work. I can smell something cooking in the kitchen. Most likely a frozen pizza. Okay, missed that seam. Okay. And of course you can pin to match all of that if you want to. I may end up fixing that one place that was a little bit off. I am thinking red. Red and a red stripe. Okay, let's give this a good press. So I will do a lot of finger pressing while the block is being assembled, and then when the block is done, I'll give it a good iron press. Make sure those seams are going the way you want them to. Idaho square dance. Done. So I've got this one is a sample block already assembled. This is one in pieces and parts to show how it goes. Then we'll have the quilts that are done. I can't wait to show you mine because it's going to blow your mind. It's different than you would expect. I've also got gals sending in their samples of their quilts that they've made with the blocks, and everybody's chosen different layouts because they've come up with these ideas on their own, and we'll be showing those in the gallery section. And those ones that I'm putting together in a table runner, it's going to blow your mind. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. So let's check in really quickly. Our time's just about up here. I've got a message. Come on. Come on. Oh, the hubby says he's at the cabin. Hubby, we are doing Quilt-Cam. We'll send him that. That's funny. Okay. Yep. So he wanted me to go tonight. And I said, nope, sorry, not doing it. I promised Quilt-Cam and I wanted to sew. I needed to get these step outs done. Way to the top. And if I missed your questions, because I could just continue to go through everybody's emails and never sew it all. If I missed you, I apologize. If you have a question, I'll get to you as soon as I can by email. Or we can give it another try the next time we do Quilt-Cam. This is from Joe, who says, Tumblers with Joe from Australia. I have just finished sewing on the binding of this quilt. It is for a serviceman on deployment, our Aussie heroes. I will have it in the mail after watching you. Now I am cutting my tumblers, culling my scraps. Doesn't it feel great? Because as soon as you cut them to this shape, they're not so bad anymore. They fit, they're colorful, they're cheerful, they're wonderful to play with. They've got memories. So here's a picture. Let's see, she says, I'll be grabbing the tumbler badge. Glad you fixed your quilting mishap without any losses. Oh yeah, I caught the hopping foot on the edge of the quilt. It was not fun. It has just started to rain, so it's nice to sit down and watch. And so we've got some pictures here. Oh, that's beautiful. So here's the quilt that she made that says George on it, hanging over her fence there. Beautiful. I love the lettering. That's really nice. And then this one, oh, so she's got her little die cutting machine going there. Come on, does this open up bigger? Come on, honey. Or maybe this way. There we go. So she's cutting tumblers from that whole bin of scraps that's dumped over in the back there. And she's got, I don't know what size those are, but it doesn't matter. You choose a size. Just cut tumblers and sew those up. Those look like they may be 3.5 inches or so. We're going to make a big dent in that scrap basket. That's going to be fun. Ton of fun. Thank you for tuning in, Joe. I love it. And this one is from the Cobbs. Quilt-Cam, joining you late tonight. Did you recognize the machine Teddy is sewing my pieces of the cross, POTC? Pieces of the cross, patches of the cross. I am enjoying seeing your projects. on the tumbler. I'm cutting my squares, and this is Betsy from Massachusetts. Oh, it's got the Singer 20. Isn't that a Singer 20? Is that what the model is for that? That's the little hand cranky one that you can take on an airplane and clamp it to the TV tray in front of you. Oh, that is adorable. Super, super cute. I will have to save that photo. And this is from one more here. Oh, love it. This is from Lisa in Normal, Illinois. Lisa, I've still got that t-shirt. It's red and it says Barely Normal. I've got that t-shirt. Okay, so exciting to sew along with you tonight. I have been using your Cathedral Stars as my leader and ender since I took your workshop in Normal, Illinois last year. I got 3 blocks together just tonight using your webbing technique. Just 5 more star blocks to go. And she shares a photo here. Look how beautiful her Cathedral Stars quilt is. Isn't that just inspirational? Sewn as leaders and enders, so this whole quilt is growing while working on other things. That is just stunning. And I love how the purple just jumps out at me from that photo. Just great. So everybody, it's been a really fun night. I feel like I've even made good progress towards these step outs because there was 6 sets of them to do, and I've now got 2 done. That leaves just 4 left to do. So by the end of next week, I should have all my step outs done. We're making good progress. We'll look forward to having Quilt-Cam, not next week, but the week after. Be watching the blog, and I will definitely let you know which evening. It'll probably be either Tuesday or Wednesday. On Thursday, the 23rd, I am driving up to Virginia to pick up another AccuQuilt studio. A gal is selling. I guess she didn't want it. She had it in her shop. They weren't using it, and I'm getting it for a really, really good price. So I will be having an AccuQuilt studio here at the house and one at the cabin, because traveling back and forth with that big thing is a pain in the neck. So that will give me a road trip to Virginia. Thursday and Friday I'll return and go up to the cabin for the weekend, and then I fly to Iowa. So hopefully I'll be seeing some of you in Iowa at the end of the month and early into August as well. And that will be it for July. July will be gone. Thank you for joining me tonight. Thank you for sewing along with me. Thank you for all of the encouragement that you give me and the joy that you give me being in contact with you through the blog, through Facebook, through Instagram, sharing your projects, sharing your stories. The best part of quilting is the connection that we have one with another. It sure makes this life journey a lot easier when we can do it together, doesn't it? I will catch you next time from the basement on Quilt-Cam. If it's still early where you are, don't stop sewing yet. See if you can put another half hour, another hour into those stitches. Make some progress, and I'll catch you later. Have a good evening. Bye-bye, everybody.